Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Maria Asuelimen, and I am the managing director of AMA Consulting. I'm speaking to you from the snowy Washington, D.C. area. Welcome, everybody, to AMA's Lunchtime Learning. We offer this webinar series twice a month for half an hour on pertinent topics that have to do with professional development, government contracting, small business, entrepreneurship, leadership, and management. Again, my name is Maria Suleiman. If we have never crossed paths, as I mentioned earlier, I'm the manager of AMA Consulting. We are a professional services firm and we offer services primarily to the federal government. My background is 17 years in government contracting. Professionally, I'm an organizational development consultant and executive coach. I worked for industry, went to the government, worked for federal programs in long-term community recovery at FEMA, also with small business programs at the U.S. Small Business Administration, and then started my firm almost 8 years ago now. And we offer services in three primary areas: organizational development. So I will consider that like providing support to organizations internally, helping them with strategy, with workforce optimization, leadership development, change management projects, supporting a reorg. Um, Under organizational development, we do a ton of trainings, soft skills trainings, professional trainings, technology trainings. So we're always looking to connect with trainers and SMEs and consultants that can partner with us to deliver trainings to government agencies. Our second line of services is business and program support. There we're all supporting agencies with their operations. As you know, federal agencies execute their mission through programs. So there we do project management, business process improvement, performance quality management, and staffing. And our third line of services is IT support. So providing cyber support, assistive technology. Now we don't build IT systems, but we can come and train behind the implementation of an IT system. We can do the change management piece and provide other support services around that. So today we're going to be talking about government contracting. So what is that about? Like, what is the federal government? The federal government is the US federal government is the largest bureaucracy in the world. They are also the largest customer in the world. It is the largest industry in the world, period. So in 2018, the US government spent $560 billion on government contracts. So over almost $4 million contracts were executed in 2018 alone. And so the government buys everything, things that you would never realize that they buy. I mean, they buy barber services, they buy food, they buy chaplain services, they buy IT, they buy professional services, they buy logistics, they buy computers. I mean, everything. They have contractors that build planes, that build the warships. From the largest things that you can think of, they have contractors that support NASA in going to space. To the littlest things, they have contractors that provide janitorial services at the White House. So the federal government is the largest customer in the world. And so as part of that, they have to do at least 23% of their contracts to small businesses. So in 2017, we don't have the numbers for 2018 yet, but in 2017 alone, the federal government spent over $100 billion on small businesses. So think about the largest industry that you know. So for example, weight loss is one of the biggest industries on the commercial side. And if I have my numbers right, believe the weight loss industry is about a $4 billion industry. So just compare that to the federal government, and the departments that I list here are departments of the federal government that scored the highest in contracting to small businesses. So they're Homeland Security, Department of Labor, Department of the Interior, HUD, which is Housing and Urban Development, Office of Personnel Management, NRC, and SBA. Those were the largest spending federal agencies in the federal government. As I mentioned, the government procures everything. the government is huge, right? So there are 15 major civilian agencies, and there are defense agencies, and about 480 department and government-owned corporations. So when we say the federal government, that's just an umbrella term for almost 500 different organizations, offices, bureaus, um, that essentially put in place to run the U.S. government. Okay, so if you are on this webinar, I assume that you're interested in learning about government contracting because you're interested in being a government contractor, or maybe you work for a government contractor and you're interested in learning more about that. But I would encourage you, what we're giving you here is bite size. Go and research these agencies that I've put on here, who are the top spenders for government contracting. Figure out what they do, figure out their mission, figure out where they have regional offices or where they're located, where you can connect and participate with them. Research the different agencies. And I'm going to go a little bit more into more detail about that. So, as I mentioned, you must, if you're on this webinar, you must be interested in doing work with the federal government. It's like, okay, how can I get a piece of that $100 billion pie, right? So how do I get involved with offering services or selling my products? Not just services, the government buys products as well. As I mentioned, they buy computers, they buy stationery, they buy everything. They buy clothes, for the military personnel. They buy fabrics to make the military gear and security gear. So how do you get your business positioned to be able to get some of those government contracts? So what I've done with this webinar is just giving you 10 quick tips. Again, this is bite-sized information, quick tips. Grab what you can grab out of it and go and do your further research on it. All right, so the first thing you want to do is conduct market research to confirm what agencies need and purchase your services and products. As I mentioned, the government is huge. For about 500 organizations under the umbrella of the U.S. federal government. If you try to target all 500 of them, you're going to get lost. It's a huge bureaucracy. So search on fbo.gov, federal FedBizOps. That's where they post all the solicitations for where the government is soliciting for services or products. Do your market research and figure out what agency buys what you sell. So in FBO, you can search by keywords, you can search by NAICS codes, which I'm going to talk about that next. You can search by location. You can search by particular agencies. So for example, if you're interested in doing security services, Department of Homeland Security is a good place because they have TSA is under that. Coast Guard is under that. So then you say, okay, I want to go see what solicitations. Solicitations are when the government solicits, like ask for industry to say, we have this issue or we have this need and we're looking for companies that can fulfill this need. That's essentially what a solicitation is. And they post it on FBO. So you could search and see what agencies are buying what you sell. It's really important for you to do that market research so that you know where to target and where to focus on. Okay? On FBO, you can also search for awards. So you can search for current solicitations. That means that those are active requirements that the government is looking to fill, active needs that the government has that they're looking for a contractor to come fill. They also post on FBO once contracts have been awarded. So you can also see awarded contracts. You can see what companies are winning the contracts. You can see how much those contracts were awarded for. You can see, and part of the solicitation, they'll have documents attached to a solicitation like the scope of work, where the government will outline specifically what it is they're looking for, what they will be expecting the contractor to do. If it's a product, they'll be saying the specific the specific not terms, but the specifications. That's the word I was looking for. The specifications of the product, the model, what year they're looking for, the quantity, all of the detail involving either the service or the product they're looking for will be in the scope of work. There'll be other solicitation documents as well. There may be a pricing template where they want you to enter your price, how much you're going to charge the government to offer that service or product. So get familiar with how the government buys, what they buy, and all that information is on fbo.gov. Make sure you go to fbo.gov because there are other websites that try to mimic the government website and then they ask you to pay some money. Be careful about that. All the government websites should be free for you to access, and it should not be a fee. Um, the second thing I did want to mention about FBO is the government also posts what they call special notices on FBO. And those are not solicitations for services. They're events that the government is having. So special notices can be like vendor outreach events, can be small business events where, or it can be pre-bid conferences where the government is reaching out to industry to say, we want to invite you. We have this requirement. We have this need. We want to build this new system, this new financial system, and we want you to come in and give us ideas. We want to dialogue with industry. So those are also great events for you to attend. Most of them are free. They fill up pretty quickly. So if you find out about them, you want to register as soon as possible. Most of them will be on a government facility. So they're going to ask you to bring like your ID so you can get onto the government site. But those are good events for you to attend to get to know that agency better, get to understand what it is they need, get to know the key players, and get to understand in more detail the scope of work beyond just reading on paper. And it's also a great opportunity for you to ask the government or the program officials questions that you will not be able to do. I mean, you have a question and answer period when a solicitation is taking place, but it's just different when you're there face to face. Okay. So if you have any questions, just put them in the question box and I'll get to them at the end. We only have 30 minutes, so I want to make sure I give you some very good nuggets that you can flesh out later on. All right. So I've talked about FBO and market research. There are other sites that you can use to do your market research as well. I'm just going to say them out, and maybe I'll also type them in the chat box. One of them is usaspending.gov. I'm going to put them in the chat box right now. So usaspending.gov is the website that analyzes how the government basically expends its budget, right? So in usaspending.gov, not only do you see what was spent on what in terms of contracts, they also put grant spending there as well. Okay. Another website is Federal Procurement Database System, FPDS. FPDS, also known as Next Gen FPDS, that's where the government posts all contracting actions. So you can use FPDS to search for upcoming contracts. So let's say there's a contract that's currently holding and it's going to expire at, let's say, at the end of the fiscal year, which is September 30th. You can put that data, you search all the contracts that are going to expire by a NAICS code, by using a specific keyword. Okay, so these are other resources. Another good resource for you is the Dynamic Small Business Search Database. Okay, so that is a database of all the small businesses that currently do work with the federal government, right? In that database, you can search companies from size to location, if they're woman-owned, if they're 8A, if they're a hub zone, and these are all different small business programs. If they're veteran-owned, you can search by NAICS code, you can search by specific industry. So this you can really use to get your data, to conduct your market research, to not only know what agencies buy what you sell, but who are the key players, who are winning the contracts. Okay. The second thing you want to do is to know your primary North American Industry Classification Code, your NAICS code. So the government identifies companies by NAICS codes. So where in the commercial world, if you're in the media industry, you're in the media industry. If you're in the food industry, you're in the food business or restaurant business. If you're in retail, but on the government side, they use classification codes, and they're usually 6-digit codes, and they're tied to different industries. And the reason why the government does that is because they use that NAICS code to determine or make a size determination. Okay, so for each NAICS code, there's a size standard, and that's determined by SBA, the Small Business Administration, that's attached to a NAICS code. And so, for example, we're in the administrative or management consulting field. Our NAICS code is 541611, our primary NAICS code. And the size standard attached to that is $15 million. So in order for you to be considered a small business by SBA, your average gross receipts for the last 3 years has to be under $15 million. So the NAICS code is basically a classification system that the federal government uses to classify businesses by industry and also by size. So it's important that you know the NAICS code. You can have more than one NAICS code, because as a business, you may offer an array of services, or you may sell an array of products. So you're not confined to just one NAICS code, but you want to have a primary NAICS code where a majority of your work that you do will fall into. And then you can have other NAICS codes as well, that you can offer services under. So it's important for you to know that, because when the government issues a solicitation, they classify it under a particular NAICS code. Okay. When the SBA wants to determine your size, they determine it by NAICS code. So that's another term that you need to know for government contracting. The third thing that you need to do, now we're going into semantics, like, actual things that you need to do to prepare your business. Okay, and all of this is based on the fact that you're already a running business. So you've already started your business, you already know what it is that you want to do, you've registered your company, you've picked your formation and all of that. So all of what I'm talking about right now is you've done all that, you're an existing business, and now you want to target the federal government as a customer. Okay, the next thing you want to do is get a DUNS number. So DUNS is the Data Universal Numbering System. That's what DUNS stands for. I would say your DUNS number for your business is like your DUNS is to your business what Experian or Equifax is to your personal. So it's essentially a numbering system that is used to determine your business credits. It's almost like it's also an identifying marker for your company. Okay, and the government uses DUNS number a lot. Okay, they use the DUNS number for everything. Without your DUNS number, you cannot register in the system for award management, which is my next point. So you definitely need a DUNS number. And again, your DUNS number is free. It shouldn't be a charge. Make sure if you are going to get your DUNS number, make sure you use this specific link that I put on the slide, because there are some companies that will mimic the government's website and then say they're going to charge you $2,000 or $3,000 to get a DUNS number. You shouldn't pay a fee to get a DUNS number. It's free. Okay. So now once you apply to get your DUNS number, you need your EIN number, you need your company information, you need your company address. And to get your DUNS number, they're going to check what information you have with the IRS for your EIN number for your business. So you want to make sure that your name, your company name is spelled exactly as it is on IRS website, so that when they do that cross check of systems, there's a match and there's no issue. Now, once you have your DUNS number, you have to register your business in SAM. Everything that we've been talking about, doing market research, getting your NAICS code, getting your DUNS number, you cannot do work with the federal government if you're not registered in SAM. Every entity that gets money from the federal government is registered in SAM. So state governments are registered in SAM. Nonprofits who get grants from the government are registered in SAM. Local governments, other countries who get money from the U.S. federal government, they're all registered in SAM. So as a small business, you too have to be registered in SAM. And SAM is the system for award management. If you have done work with like a large corporation, they have what they call a supplier database. So they use different suppliers, different vendors, and they require all those suppliers and vendors to be registered in a database. That's exactly what this is on the government side. So registering in SAM will require you to put in all your corporate information. They will also require you to put in your business banking information, because when you do get that federal contract, they're going to pay you through whatever information is in SAM. Also in SAM, you're going to represent yourself as a small business, if you're woman-owned, if you're minority-owned, if you're in the 8A program, which is a business development program for small business federal contractors, if you're in the Hub Zone program, which is called historically underutilized business zone, that is an economic empowerment program, also under this SBA, you represent all of that in SAM. You will also need to put your NAICS codes in SAM. Why is that important? Sometimes contracting officers who are procuring services and products, they go to SAM to do their market research. Sometimes they're looking for specific companies who have certain NAICS codes. So you want to make sure that the information that you put in SAM is up to date, is current, and it accurately reflects your company. Okay, so you definitely want to register in SAM. Again, I have to stress the importance of that. You cannot get any work with the government if you're not registered in SAM. And you need your NAICS code, you need your DUNS number, you need your EIN, you need your business corporation information, your business banking information, You need all of that to be able to register in SAM. It takes about, I would say 20 to 30 minutes. Is something that you can do by yourself. Some people hire consultants to help them, but it's something that you can do by yourself. It's a database and you're basically putting your information. Once you register in SAM, um, I think that there's a new requirement where you also have to send in a notarized letter, because there was some fraudulent activity going on with the database. So once you send in that notarized letter, again, they're going to cross-check with Dun& Bradstreet, which is DUNS, to make sure that your DUNS number is accurate, your business information is accurate. And they're also going to cross-check with IRS to make sure that the EIN is the same business entity. And that can take like a few days. And then once your entity registration is active in SAM, at that point, you can start receiving federal contracts. Okay? The fifth thing that you want to do is to develop your marketing materials. So the government is spending taxpayer money, like our money, right? It's public funds. So, and it's a heavily regulated industry. That's another thing I want you to write down. Federal contracting is heavily regulated. It's not an industry where you can just do business on the fly. There are what they call federal acquisition regulations, FAR, that govern how the government procures services and products. The government has to follow those rules. And so because it's heavily regulated, because it's taxpayer money, the government is very risk averse. They don't want to take a chance on a company that may not be able to perform. That's taxpayer money. So the contracting officer has a responsibility to make sure that you, the contractor, or the proposed contractor, or the vendor, that you are a credible company. So your marketing materials have a lot to do with your organizational presence, right? Your corporate image. So your website, your capability statement, your brochures, your marketing presentation, your social media pages all have to accurately reflect what you do as a company, and who you are as a company has to show your past performance, has to show the type of work that you have completed. It has to showcase your company leadership. And these things are ongoing. As you start your company and you grow and you get more contracts, you're going to need to keep updating that. At AMA, we are actually in the midst of right now updating our website. We do it at least every other year. So we recently got into the 8A program about a year and a half ago. We also got our GSA schedule about 2 years ago. So, we've been in that grind mode and doing a lot of work. We need to showcase it on our website. So we're right now in the midst of updating our case studies, we've also grown staff-wise, updating the company's leadership on our website so people know that we're not just a one-person company. We're an actual entity that has structure. So that's very important. Your capability statement, not just what you can do, but what you have done. A synopsis of your NAICS codes, also a synopsis of case studies, actual work that you have done, even if you haven't done it on the government side. So those things are very important. Develop your marketing materials. Have a consistent brand on your social media. Separate your personal social media from your business social media. The government is traditional, so they may not want to see, a lot of things that are not directly related to the work that you do on your business page. So you just want to keep that professional look on your corporate marketing materials and social media pages. The sixth point, this is another very important point. I want you to really jot this down. Is take one more thing in terms of social media. LinkedIn is the biggest social media channel and Twitter. LinkedIn and Twitter. The government is not very big on Facebook, but they're on Twitter, they're on LinkedIn, and the agencies and offices and different programs, they have social media pages. They put out information because, again, they're servicing the public. So they reach out to the public through Twitter, through Facebook sometimes, through LinkedIn. A lot of the government people are on LinkedIn. So those are the channels that you really want to focus on. YouTube also is another one that's growing on the government side. So they have videos there. They have things there, of the initiatives they're doing. If they're doing campaigns on a particular program, is out there on YouTube. So there is ample information for you to see what the government is doing and also engage with the government through social media. I just wanted to make that point about social media and what channels are the good ones to look at. Now, the sixth point is creating a strategic marketing plan. I teach a whole class on this for the SBDC because I also do classes for the small business development centers here in Maryland, across 4 different regions, and the PTACs as well as in DC PTAC. And here's the reason: we're a small business. You don't have, your resources don't runneth over. You have limited resources, you have limited time. So you have to be strategic in your marketing when you're going after government contracts. You can't target every federal agency. Remember, there are about 500 offices, organizations, and those organizations have sub-organizations under them. So you really have to create a plan. You have to, be clear on your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats as a company. You have to develop strategies to mitigate those areas where you have gaps. You have to know your competitors. You have to know your unique selling proposition. I'm talking right now about the components of your marketing plan. And then you have to set goals. You have to, at maximum, 5 short-term, 12-month goals, and 5 long-term, 3 to 5 year goals. So that gives you clarity in terms of knowing which direction you're going in with your company. So like there's a popular saying, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. So that's what your marketing plan is really designed for, is to help you, give you a blueprint. Again, it's not cast in stone. It's something that you should change. You may have a marketing plan and say, I've targeted these 2 agencies, and an opportunity comes from an agency that's not even on your marketing plan. But at least you have some kind of structure to how you're doing your marketing. And then that will also help you develop a process and a system of how you market as a business. Okay, so that's very critical. Create a strategic marketing plan targeted at the federal agencies that purchase your services. I always say, get to know at least a maximum of 3 agencies at a time. Get to know 3 agencies, understand them. What is their primary function? Are they a grant making agency? What programs do they support? Who's their target audience? How do they operate? Are they heavily centralized in their headquarters, or are they region focused? How does the money flow? Those are the things you need to know about the agencies, and doing a strategic marketing plan will help you with that. The next point is, I mentioned this a little bit when I talked about FBO.gov. Attend relevant networking events. Federal contracting is a relationship-based business, as almost any business is right now. We are in the era of connectivity, right? So we are connected. I mean, this is the area where through Facebook, you can basically have a partner in China or in India, and you're doing business together, you're working together, and you've never met each other face to face. Small federal contracting, the best way to succeed is to develop strong strategic alliances. I can attest to that. I mean, we just got a huge contract award with the Department of Education. We would not have been able to win that award if we did not partner with the company that we partnered with. And this is a key thing. You have to leverage relationships. And how do you build those relationships? You have to go out there, attend networking events. There are a ton of events for small businesses to partner with. Go through your local economic development corporation. Look at SBDC's, PTACs, attend trainings, meet people. Go on FBO.gov. Look at what the government is doing. Go to associations specific to your industry, where I'm sure they have like a government contracting committee or something there. Chambers of commerce. There's ample opportunity for you to attend networking events, meet and connect with the right people. Do that. It will help really scale your business. 8, utilize free and low-cost resources. So like you're doing right now, this is a free webinar. You're going to get tons of information that will help you. Keep doing that. SCORE, PTAC, SBDC. SCORE is, I can remember what SCORE stands for, but it's essentially retired executives, and they're funded by DLA through SBA. They are SBA's resource partner. So how SBA supports small businesses on the ground is through SBDC, SCORE, and Procurement Technical Assistance Center. So these are all organizations that are there designed to help you. So PTAC can help you with market research. That's what they do, is they give you contracting assistance. SBDC gives you trainings on a variety of small business topics. SCOREs, they have counselors there that can actually sit with you and walk you through your financial statement. They can sit with you and walk you through your marketing plan. Utilize all these resources to help you get started. 9, invest in the necessary resources to build up your infrastructure. So 3 key things. You want to write this down. In order for you to have a successful government contracting firm You need to have, number one, a solid relationship with the banker, because you're going to need to get financing to be able to hold your payroll or to buy products, or a line of credit. That's very critical. So we've been with our bank. I've personally been banking with M&T Bank for 18 years. And since I started the company, I've also had my business banking with 18 years. We started with a very small company credit card and then went to a $10,000 line of credit. And that just kept growing and growing. So, but that wouldn't happen without a relationship. So I can walk into my bank. If I get a contract tomorrow, I can walk in there and request a line. They know me personally. They know my story. They know my children. So you have to have a relationship with the bank that kind of follows your business growth. Um, the second thing is have a sound accountant. Government contracting is complex, is regulated. You have to follow the rules. You have a heavy compliance with the contract management. There are some labor laws you have to follow. If you're, for example, you're doing a service contract, you have to pay the people. I'm trying to cram a lot into a very short time set, but this may be a little bit into the weeds, but I'm just telling you the reason why you have to have an accountant. You have to have accountants that really know what they're doing to help you set up your accounting system, because if you're going to do a certain types of contracts, you have to have a DCAA accounting system, approved accounting system. So you have to work with accountants who understand government contracting and can help you set up your business for success. Third piece is attorneys. You have to have good attorneys. You're going to be entering into contracts, subcontracts, teaming agreements, joint ventures. You have to have attorneys that understand the business. You may win a contract and get protested. You need to have an attorney that can help you defend that. Okay. The 10th and final point: know the rules of the game. I talked about that. There are rules that cover government contracting, right? You need to know what they are. Basic thing: Federal Acquisition Regulations, FAR Part 9. That's what governs small business. It's regulations, so you can't like read it like a novel or like a inspirational book. It's a boring read, but at least know where to access it. Understand what the regulations say about work share. Understand what the regulations say about what is a fixed price contract, what is a cost plus contract, what is a labor hour contract. All of that is in the regulation. Okay, so we have come to the end of the material. Ooh, just wanted to give you information on how to stay in touch with us. Please send me an email if you have a question, info@ama-consult.com. As I mentioned to you, we are currently updating information on our website. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and we're on LinkedIn. I do want to connect with you. If you're a trainer or consultant, you have soft skills experience and you're interested in doing trainings, please reach out to us. Also, if you have specific experience, grants, contracting, project management, IT trainings, we want to hear from you. Connect with us, because we're always looking to partner with consultants and 1099s to help us execute on contracts. We also have a conference that's coming up at the end of in the fall, the Magnificent Leadership Conference. This year's theme is going to be SOAR. We're going to send more information about that, but we want you to stay in touch with us so that you can be aware of what we have going on. All right, so I see some questions. I'm just going to get. Somebody says can't see the slides. Ooh. So people can see the slides. No one can see your screen. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize all this while that I wasn't sharing my screen. Now, okay. I apologize for that. I am just gonna scroll back up so that you can see. Sometimes it's good to look at the questions as you speak, because you can miss information. So here's the information for the slides. This is where I was talking about just the statistics about government spend, and then everything that I talked about. I'm going to leave this up here so that you can see the links for the NACS, for fbo.gov. I'm going to leave this on here for like a few seconds. Any other questions? No worries. Let me know where I can find the recorded webinar. Yes, we record the webinar. We put it on our YouTube page. That's a good point. We should put the link to our YouTube page. We have other webinars on different topics that we've done from there. And Excuse me. So sometimes we do the same, it may be a topic that we've presented on, but we still do it live, even though we have the recorded webinar, because the information is fresh. Things change. There may be something that we need to address. Can you email us the slides? No, sorry, I can't email you the slides, but I will leave it up here so you can get the links. Any other question? Thank you for putting on. You're welcome. You're welcome. Excellent webinar presentation. Thank you. Any other questions about government? I want to answer specific. Oh, here. This is what I want to say. So somebody said, what off-the-shelf tool do you recommend, like GovTribe, etc.? So I would say get started with the free tools like fbo.gov and test out the different. There are a lot of tools. So who asked that question? Is it okay if I say your name? Sohail. What he's talking about, or she's talking about, I don't know, you may get that wrong, and I apologize in advance. What they're talking about is there are some market intelligence tools. So instead of going to FBOs, USA Spending, Fpds, you can go to the companies that have created market intelligence tool where you can get past contracting information about prime contractors all on one database. So I would say use the free tools and then figure out and test them. There are different ones. There's GovTribe, there's FedMine, there's Deltec. Deltec is very expensive. There's Bloomberg. We use EasyGovUps. They don't pay me to say this, but I love them. We've been using them for 4 years. We started with them when their tool was just didn't have a lot of functions. But the thing I like about EasyGovUps is that they keep improving. It's very easy to find information. You have a file cabinet there. You could search past contracts. You could search companies. You can search government contacts. I mean, there's just a wealth of information all in one place. But I would say start from the free tools first and then really figure out what works for your company and test all of them. Most of them will let you do like a free demo for 14 days or so. Test the different platforms and see what works for you before you start dishing out money to invest in it. So that would be my recommendation. Any other questions? Okay. Did I say your name right, Sohail? Any other questions? Anybody? Yes. Oh, thank you. Any other questions? Do you have anything specific you want to ask me about SAM, about market research? The webinar ends at 12:30, but we're going a little bit over today. It's snowing. Government is closed. People are working from home, so we can go a little bit longer. So I just want to mention that before we started offering services directly to the government, I actually supported contractors. I helped contractors, small businesses win millions of dollars of contracts. I built a team that will help them with business development, with proposal writing, with doing market research, with doing that strategic marketing plan. And so from there, we became a contractor after a couple of years of doing that. So I have worked with companies in different industries, media, construction, IT, biotech. So I've been at this a while. So if you have any questions about just getting into government contracting, ask me. I'm going to leave it open for 30 more seconds and then we're going to close the webinar. Thank you guys so much for attending. I want to connect with you. Email me. Let me know if you have any other questions. And I believe I've given you all the links. Yeah, I left the links up there so you can have the links. And I also put it in the chat box. Okay. Okay, so if you don't have any government working experience, what are the best avenues to enter that platform without many other government contracts? Be a subcontractor, be a 1099. So that's the quickest way to get in. So you can learn on your dime or learn on somebody else's dime, which is OJT. Okay, so there are a lot of contractors, who may not necessarily have a full-time opportunity, maybe a part-time opportunity. get your foot in the door that way, and then talk to them and see if they'll do a 1099 for you, and you can work as a subcontractor, not a subcontractor, as a consultant on a project for them. That's a way to get your foot in the door. So 1099 is the fastest way to get your foot in the door. And AMA, we're looking for trainers. So if you can train, or you're a good subject matter expert, we can teach you how to train. We are going to be putting a train the trainer event together in April, where we're going to be teaching you on how to train and how to deliver presentations for the workforce and government leadership. So that's a good way to get in, is through 1099. Any other questions? We are going to go ahead and close. We're a whole 10 minutes over the close time. Thank you, guys, for joining. I'm so glad to connect with you, and I hopefully you attend more AMA Lunchtime Learning Series, and you are welcome. Have a fantastic snow day if you're in the DC area. Bye bye.